drama between teammates, a rolling start, and a fierce battle for third place. Unlike race 1, race 2 of the Shanghai round of the 2025 F1 Academy series was less dramatic, kind of. But for an 11-lap spec series race, it was still pretty decent racing. This year, I think the battle for the Drivers' Championship will be between Verg, Pan and Chambers, and race 2 was a prime example of why. Now admittedly, Verg was in pole and she might have timed the rolling start slightly wrong because Pan was able to absolutely send it down the track and overtake her. But as I said in my season preparer video, Pan was always going to be a very strong candidate. And then with Chambers, she was part of a multi-lap battle for third place. Lap 6 saw Chambers making a move on Larson, and while she did have to avoid contact, it was still quite tight. But the point here being is that she knew when to be like, nah, I don't think this is going to work out. Which I noticed other drivers on the grid didn't necessarily know, but that's kind of the point they're meant to be developing. Anyway, she tried to gain on lap 8 and she was able to overtake Larson, but then Larson timed the braking perfectly and she regained her position. But unfortunately for Larson, on lap 10, Chambers was able to make the move stick and she said finally on the team radio. However, there were a lot of incidents. Before the end of lap 1, Gaiman was trying to make an overtake on Felbermeyer, but then Hausman clipped her back, and naturally Gaiman was not happy about her teammate making this late move. So this is what she said on the radio. And what I find really interesting about this is that whilst the two drivers were on the grid, they were given this message. However, that was not the end of incidents on the first lap, as Chong made contact with Chiconte, who then hit into Nobles and Hafter, which was so unfortunate for those three because it wasn't their fault, but they did have bad race ones. As expected, Chong did pick up a 10-second penalty for this. Finally, Ferreira did make up a number of places, but she also had a 3-place grid penalty for causing a collision with Block, and this was applied to both races. So I do wonder what she could have done if this hadn't been the case. Speaking of Block, in both races she went from P18 to P9, so she's another case of what could have been.